Hi, my name is Hannah Wheelwright. I'm a sophomore at Brigham Young University. I'm voting for Barack Obama, and I'm a Mormon. I support President Obama because he supports women's rights. The first act he signed into law was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, ensuring equal pay for equal work for more women. He also appointed 2 women to the Supreme Court, including the first Latino woman. He included provisions for women's health in Obamacare, which additionally, now millions more Americans will be covered and millions of children will no longer be denied coverage for pre-existing conditions. He also ended the war in Iraq, repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He's the first sitting president to support gay marriage, which is a cause I also support, even though I'm Mormon. He also enacted credit card reform, Wall Street reform, student loan reform, and he supports tax policies that will benefit the middle class and not just the top 1%. I don't know why, as a 21st century woman, I would support a candidate and vice presidential candidate who want to take me back to the 1950s. My name is Hannah. I'm voting for Barack Obama, and I'm a Mormon.
I'm not really big on canvassing. I would so prefer that everybody just made their own decisions and did everything on their own. I don't like being intrusive, going to somebody's door and demanding a couple seconds of their time, even just to say, hey, you should really reconsider this candidate. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Are you Laura?
Yes.
Oh, cool. My name's Hannah. I'm a volunteer with the Obama for America campaign from over in Utah. I was just stopping by to see if you had voted yet, or if you were planning to.
I have not, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for I don't want my cat to get out.
You're totally fine.
And I am going to on Tuesday. I just really kind of like the excitement of Election Day, and it's so easy in a small town. Like it's
I'm doing the
not
same
a
thing
long
too.
line. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely voting.
Okay, perfect.
For Obama.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Great.
Yeah, I'm excited. So thank you for volunteering. They asked me to, and I'm so overcommitted that I couldn't
totally
do it,
understand. Yeah, but thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
No, I'm happy to do it, and hopefully we'll get the
Yeah, hopefully too.
All right, thank you so
No problem.
much.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
There's nothing inappropriate on this show. Be forever immortalized.
Let's see, that company running the bike tour in South Carolina says no singles.
Okay.
Your credit card called. They want to make sure you're the one buying cream soda in bulk.
I sure am.
And your landlord called. It is not the toilet, it's you.
That's his opinion.
Oh, and Gene from your high school reunion committee called. They want to know if you're coming this weekend.
No, no way.
Oh, you have to go.
So I was walking back through the parking lot with my laundry in tow, and I see this car is like starting to pull out of the parking lot, and they stopped in front of my car, and the guy rolls down his window, and he was like, "Bad bumper sticker! Evil bumper sticker!" And he was yelling at my car, and it made me realize that I wonder what reactions people have to it when I'm not there to see it, when I'm not watching, you know? And actually, like, when I take online quizzes, like, to who do I side with more politically, I side more with Jill Stein than I do with Obama. I did listen to all 6 hours of the Supreme Court oral arguments during midterms week because that was that important to me to know what the Supreme Court was saying about Obamacare. So I don't know, it started to become, not an obsession, but I got really into staying more informed.
I was wondering, like, oh man, if you have freshman RMs who are 20 and girls who are 18, like, will there be this incentive to catch them before they turn 19, like there is the incentive to catch them before they turn 21? Like,
Right.
I don't know, I don't really get it, but I hear it all the time. They're like, oh man, like, she's 19, it's a good time, you know, like, when she's 21, like, there's no way you can keep her from going on a mission. It's like, keep her from going on a mission. Like, man, why do you talk like that? What's wrong? Nothing wrong with them, but different than me. We obviously don't think the same way.
Right. And I've heard some people have said that, you know, some of the kind of cynical responses to the missionary exchange has been that they're just trying to drive down the age of getting married. So, like, drive down, you know, like, lock people in faster and then get them married off faster.
Yeah, so I actually agree that that's probably true.
Well,
but I would put it as, rather than they're trying to get girls to get married at 18, they're saying, like, okay, girls can go on a mission, get it over with. Like, okay, all these girls who think they need to go on a mission or want to go on a mission, like, just go, get it over with, and then you can get married.
Right.
rather than like, okay, they're putting off marriage until they're 23 because they want to go on a mission when they're 21.
Right. You would hesitate to say
I
that?
would hesitate to say that they want people to get married at age 18.
Well, that's just going to drive the divorce rate up. In my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, I'm not. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I don't think the church always thinks in terms of what's going to happen to the divorce rate.
Yeah.
Like, having a bad sex life also leads to divorce, and some of the experiences that I've heard of people, like, how they have a bad experience having sex because of, like, guilt and things like that. Like, they can't get over feeling guilty even though they're married to the person.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
that, I think, would also... But the
teaches
church
about sex,
doesn't
yeah.
change the way they teach sex, even though that...
Like, if the church all of a sudden, like, in the young women's manuals that they just put out, it actually talks about, like, your sexual processes and, like, and even, like, sexual abuse and things like that. Instead of it being a vague, like, you know, a vague note to the teacher at the beginning of the lesson, be aware that some people might have experienced abuse. Instead of it being this, like, one line just for the teacher to read, you know, they might actually talk about it. I feel like if they did that, it would be...
But people would not like that?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Not necessarily about sexual abuse, but about...
Okay, but more of like
Yeah.
understanding your sexuality before you're married.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess people would be uncomfortable with that.
Even teaching...
Me too. I'm uncomfortable talking about that. Just joking.
That would be a more radical change, I think, if the church was trying to change how they teach about sex. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say there just wasn't that much doctrine being taught. It was just like, we would read, like, remember the worth of souls is great in the sight of God. And then it'd be like, okay, how does that make you feel? And people would be like, it just really makes me feel like God loves me and he just understands who I am. And I just love that about the gospel because it's so important to me. And then that would be repeated just like 20 times. It would possibly be the most creative thing that we put on the blog so far. I had always been avoiding the label of being a Democrat just because nobody else wanted to be a Democrat, because being a Mormon and being at BYU, Democrat is, you know, synonymous with evil baby killers. And I was scared that if I said I was a Democrat that somebody would come up with some policy or some history of the Democratic Party and say, well, how can you support this if you're a Democrat? And I wouldn't have an answer for them. But when I actually looked up the Democratic Party platform and I studied more about the different ideologies between Republican and Democrat, and I realized that I really was a Democrat, so then I just decided to come out. So it took me a long time from, you know, growing up in my parents' household to then at BYU coming out as a Democrat.
First, we'll start with your 2-minute introductions, and then we're going to have the same question for both of you. So, 2-minute introductions. Let's have Hannah start.
Sure.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to take a wild leap and assume that most people in this room, regardless of your current political beliefs, were raised to believe that Democrats are not good Mormons or are just misled in some way or fashion. So I'm going to ask you to just suspend that belief for a little minute and listen to my arguments. So the Democratic Party is not just a bunch of baby-killing, government-ruining people. The Democratic Party believes that government, when used correctly, can be a huge benefit to society as a whole. So Democrats strongly favor education, research, helping minorities and women to have more of a voice, especially in government. Democrats fundamentally believe that when we help people and focus on people and not just on helping businesses, that people will have more opportunities and will take advantage of those. So Democrats also are characterized by other common senses that you guys probably know about, pro-choice, pro-marriage equality. But Democrats are also known for their support for social programs such as Social Security, which helps the elderly, as well as Medicare, Medicaid, that helps people in lower income brackets.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler Williams from Utah. I actually never heard that Democrats were bad Mormons. Dieter F. Uchtdorf is a Mormon. I think a lot of us like him. So. And I also just want to debunk that as well. I've never thought that the Democrats were governing and ruining. I think they love to build government. So I don't think that was a problem or a misconception.
Great, thank you.
I know that at BYU it's tempting to say that it's tempting to want to impose our values on other people because we believe that we have good values.
But when we look around the United States, I don't think we can make value judgments like that for other people about their lifestyles. I don't think it's right for us to force other people to participate in traditional marriage if that's not what they believe in. And I do disagree with the Republican Party platform in that respect, and I do stand strongly pro-gay marriage in the Democratic Party platform. And it's purely because I don't think that we should be telling other people how to live their lives. That has no role in economic things. Specifically because whether it's a gay couple raising a child or whether it's a straight couple raising a child, it's still a home and a family, and I don't think that, I think that we should be focusing more on programs that help people who are growing up in poverty than we should be trying to force people to get married or to live a certain way just because of our personal beliefs. And so, yeah.
Thank you so much.
I don't know. I want to change LDS culture because I love this people, and I also know the roots really of, and so I want change, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have an agenda. It's just that word that kind of, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying, like,
No, I understand.
you know what I mean? Like, it's cool to fight for stuff.
There is an extent to which I feel silenced in the church, and that is when it comes to the fact that I am a woman and then there's a man who has priesthood authority. So it doesn't matter if I disagree with him, if I spoke up about that, it's still going to be this old white guy that determines everything for the church. And whether or not you believe he's divinely inspired, it's still this one person directing the church. So I think it can sometimes be hard in an LDS context to feel like that you have any efficacy in what you're saying.
I do have an agenda of what I want with life. I want gay marriage to be legal, so I'm going to kind of work that way. Mm-hmm. And when they say there's a gay agenda, it's like, well, there's a, like, you call wanting gay marriage to be legal a gay agenda, but it's like, well, then
there's also
I don't know, like,
there's also an anti-gay agenda as well. I mean, they slip it in their talks, the way they want to talk with other people who are on the fence and everything. Like, if they really understood, like, the actuality of what is homosexuality, maybe their view on it would change. And so I think the best thing to do, especially with the topic of homosexuality, is just help them understand what it is to be homosexual. Like in the statistics have proven that homosexuality is mostly influenced by biological things, you know.
Your, like, sexual orientation is pretty concrete
by the
time you leave the womb.
Uterus.
Okay, I thought you were saying, like...
I used it! You used that motion! The gay man used it.
I think a lot of it is that people don't even understand the church's position on it. Yeah. So, like, with homosexuality, they're like, oh, like, the church hates gays, right? It's like, well, no, like, and even you talked about earlier, Kevin, like, how the church has progressed in its rhetoric towards homosexuality. So I think that a lot of times it comes from misunderstanding.
To act like we know everything is not helpful in, like, the spiritual or ecumenical context. And missionaries, if these 19-year-old missionaries go out and say, hey, like, I know everything you need to be happy and successful.
How many of us make that mistake? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and
a lot of us do.
Like, I don't think that's. I think that's a really bad thing. This like assumption, like, oh, I have, like, the complete, whole, infallible truth, and I'm here to tell you about it. Mm-hmm. Like, your salvation depends on whether or not you let me into your house to illuminate you.
I think everyone is liberal about something, and that eventually they'll embrace their true selves and they'll be liberal about everything.
Closet liberals at BYU.
No, but what I've noticed, it actually is useful just for your friend to know that you support gay marriage and that something you heard in church offended you. Because what I found, like, is some of my really conservative friends is, like, after, like, this one girl, after we had this lesson about modesty, she kind of came to me and she's like, you're kind of, like, into, like, feminist stuff and, like, how, and she's like, did you like that lesson? And I was like, absolutely not. And so then, like, we started talking about that, but, like, her issue wasn't gay marriage and it wasn't some of the things that are more relevant to me, but when modesty came up, she was like, that was something that she really found kind of hurtful, the way the lesson was taught. And so she kind of came to me and we talked about it and we realized that we had more in common. So it opened doors for later, even though I couldn't persuade her about gay marriage then.
I think there's something to be said about being, like, the token liberal and kind of letting people approach you, kind of like with your friend. Is, like, just so they know that you sort of have these views, like, not being in your face about it, but just, like, that you're open to it. People come and approach you and then they're not defensive. Yeah. At all, and that way they're, like, it's kind of on their terms. And I've had people, like, confess their liberal views to me before. Like, I kind of felt like a Catholic priest for a while. But it's, like, really kind of a good place to be that they have, like, someone they can go to and be open with.
I just had a real quick comment, Aaron. you have the priesthood, so whenever somebody, like a woman, disagrees with you, just bear your testimony, especially that you have received this revelation, because it's a right, that this is the way it should be, then you will automatically be correct, and she will have to believe you.
That's true.
Oh gosh, that sounds true.
How have we skipped that this whole time?
I don't know. I'm thrilled that that's on like tape.
There are potential liberals here at BYU, right? And so we are trying to find
Like potential investigators.
Right, exactly. Actually, like
Gay people.
I still have my agenda, and I'm like, how many liberal lessons have I had today? Lessons with other liberal present. If you remember, like, what made you become a feminist, what made you become a gay rights activist, what made you become a liberal, like, you can think, like, okay, that's how I moved from being, because not all of us have gone through this, but many of us have gone from being a conservative to a liberal. Like, this is what made it happen. And so you try to help other people have that same experience where they realize, oh, like, this makes sense.
I kind of wanted to. No, that's. No, never mind.
I'm really excited.
I just think because we disagree with Burger King Packer, it doesn't matter, and we're not gonna be kicked out of the church, and he's gonna die soon, so everybody's cool with it. Also, the main thing I wanted to get on record was Burger King Packer, because I'm so proud of that. President, pardon me, Burger King Packer. Okay.
Just as an agent of change within the church, I really do look for the ability to prove to people, hey, look, see, I'm not an apostate because I'm a liberal. Like, I want people to see that connection so that they stop thinking that that's off limits.
In a way, even then, when I'm talking to people and they're, really against homosexuality or gay marriage, kind of like, well, like, we have a couple of scriptures that are against gay marriage, we think, and that's about it. And the rest of it, we're just going off of faith. So if we can go off faith in trusting that God is against gay marriage, then I think that I can go off faith in thinking that God's okay with gay marriage. Sometimes whenever I talk about, I say, oh, I am pro-gay marriage or something, people will be like, oh, the prophets have said that that's not a good thing. I'm like, well, I don't necessarily always agree with the prophets either. And I'm like, and so sometimes people try to use that as an excuse to oh, if you don't like that, then you should be sustaining your leaders. It's like, well, what if I don't always sustain my leaders? So thank you guys so much for participating in this. I really appreciate it. Let's come back next week. My dad would pick me up from a sports practice or something, and we'd be sitting in the car for just hours after he picked me up, just talking, and I would ask him, wait, who has, what countries have nuclear weapons, or, and things like that, and he would be able to talk about it. And it was just these things that I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe that people don't know or ask about these things. And so from a very young age, I really thought of government and politics as this incredible power for good, but something that is so underutilized and something that needs so much change. That so a few people have control, and then that's it. Everybody else just kind of goes about their daily business. So I remember when I was maybe 13, I was like in my room, just sitting on a chair writing in my journal, as good Mormon girls do. And I remember sitting there and just thinking, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to get involved with this. So today is election day, and I am going to the polls to vote. Cast my ballot for President Barack Obama, even though I'm in Utah and it's not really going to matter. That's okay, because it still matters. It's symbolic. And also, after working for so long and so hard on this campaign, it feels really good to finally do the thing that I've been trying to get people to do for the last, 6 months. This is my first time voting. That's exciting, because I'm 19, so I wasn't old enough to vote last time.